Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are here with round 6 action from the Arlington Regional today, and it's been a lot of good matches so far. But this one's going to be a lot of spice. We're moving to the undefeated bracket. 2 5-0s battling it out next to each other.
That's right. From here on out for the rest of the day, it is going to be undefeated Clash of the Titans. Today we have Mo versus Shane on a Doflamingo mirror match.
That's right, Doflamingo mirror match.
Yes.
Who would have thought the year 2023?
Well, it's a very underrepresented deck, and I'm very happy that there are two masterful pilots going at it here in round 6 for us.
Right.
So that'll be awesome. Players are just shuffling up here, resolving mulligans, and we should see life come out here in a moment. Both alternate art leaders, very, very impressive.
Very, very pretty.
Step one of the recipe to making yourself undefeated into round 6 is get yourself an alternate art leader.
Yeah, you can't get there unless you have that. Looks like both took the mulligan there, looking for good openings.
You know, that makes a lot of sense. You are looking for probably a very specific hand in this mirror match. So, you know, you don't want to be the player who did not start with your ability to stack your deck. So that makes a lot of sense that you take the mulligan.
Yes, you definitely have to come out of the gate swinging here. You got to make sure that you both are coming out with a lot of creatures to the board. In addition, cards like Doflamingo, Mihawk at the top end, the 7-drop Doflamingo, also things like Jinbei to buy you tempo in the game are usually going to be pretty important, I got a feeling. Because this is a game about trading some resources, getting your life hits in when you can.
Yeah, you have to be the one who establishes dominance on the board for sure.
Yes.
It's also going to be pretty interesting to watch these opponents leverage each other's life total, giving each other resources in hand, as well as playing around certain effects.
Yeah. This matchup will definitely be, in some fashion, a cost if you'd like to attack your opponent. Getting that card in their hand will be very good for them.
I think that's really interesting. He started on Trafalgar Law. Started his opening hand may not have contained Perona, so instead he just wanted to play anything at all.
Yep. And from Mo's side, we do see the Perona coming down. It's getting the stack.
2 Gecko Morias and a Jinbei already. Okay, we are going to put the Jinbei up there pretty high.
Pacifista, yes. Stacking it, still looks like to be able to flip those.
Okay, we're grabbing Pacifista, then Jinbei.
I think so. I think Jinbei is pretty good, especially to buy yourself some of that early tempo we talked about. Absolutely.
And we do have the Kuma in hand, so we are going to kind of surprise out the Pacifista that we're already holding. Gecko Moria in hand as well.
Blind flip of Draco Mihawk there.
It was a blind flip, but it rewarded him.
Yep.
You know, if you don't have the way to stack it on turn 1, perhaps blind flip is the way to go. You aren't going to have very many powerful 3-drops. Your opponent is about to go into a well-designed top of the deck.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense here, and we are going to see Jinbei come off the top.
Yep. And now the Law is it looks good. Looks like it's going to get the nice block in, but Jinbei deciding not to flip anything back to hand, it looks like.
And so the way it was stacked was Jinbei would be the flip here, followed by a Love Beam draw, and then 2 Gecko Morias on the bottom.
Yes.
So we're going to be able to Gecko Moria out with our ability on the following turn, and then draw Gecko Moria for our hand.
Okay, attacking back on the Jinbei. Bringing back the Law. Or flipping out a Law, rather.
Not exactly what you want to pay 3 Dawn for, but you know what?
Yeah.
You'll take it.
You get some good filtering here with the Mihawk attack. Discarding a Jinbei and something else I didn't quite catch there. Letting the Jinbei die. Killing out the Law. Sure.
We did see a bit of awkward drawing there. I think the judge probably caught that, though.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay, draw the level of beam like we expected. We set up our deck for that purpose.
And this is really like the power of the Perona on turn 1. Like, you absolutely get to manipulate everything. You know exactly what's going to come out.
Gecko Moria gets back the Law.
There you go. And you're getting value off that. And you're not even upset by wasting the value on just getting back Law, because you know you have another Gecko Moria coming out next turn.
Absolutely. I think we're deciding whether we want to take this or not. Definitely options to pitch in the hand if we really wanted to, but okay, getting out of it. And then Law. Okay. Holding up 2 for presumably the level of beam we drew on that turn that we knew about.
And drew Gecko Moria there. Pretty good pickup. Especially after needing to discard out for counter power, having cards in your hand that's just going to put those back in hand.
Yeah.
Especially when your opponent just played Gecko Moria, if you are lacking that 4-drop, then you are going to really feel the difference in resources there.
Okay.
I think the 4-cost Gecko Moria is probably one of the most valuable cards in this matchup.
And our flip is
Doflamingo. So we have been incredibly lucky, but this is the first time we're getting to stack 5.
Yeah.
And to note. The Perona's looks are done after the following draw. For Mo's side, Shane here now stacking the deck for the first time. So, going into the mid-game here, it's very possible that we see a difference in power level on Shane's side.
It was bad enough, though, that the Doflamingo did go all 5 to bottom.
Okay. Well, you know what? Having the ability to do that and say none of these are the cards I need to catch up is still incredibly powerful. So
this is probably the point where you say flipping off the top of the deck is pretty good, but finding 9-drop Mihawk is just almost better at points.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Gecko Moria comes down, probably buying back the Law. Options for
a
others,
lot of options, though, but yeah, definitely getting both players taking a lot of utility from the Trafalgar Law here.
Yep. I mean, it's a very powerful play to be able to get back to do a block there.
Yeah, Doflamingo, not being able to attack with very many creatures per turn and being able to protect your character with a recurrent blocker Law is incredibly powerful here.
Exactly.
So we're just seeing each other stumble over those at the moment.
All right, a couple options in the hand there, it looks like. We got 7-drop Dofi.
7-drop really powerful out of the hand.
Yeah. Bouncing something like a Mihawk feels good, also feels bad, because that is a 2K to then later pitch on a future turn.
It's a 2K, yes, but at the same time, it does get a 5K off of your opponent's board, which is incredibly powerful. You establish your 7-drop. I know that they're, it doesn't feel the best, but it does give you some momentum here.
Okay, and we're coming in for 6 here. Not a flip off the Dovi, but just a 2K over on the 3-mana blocker Dovi.
Well, this
from
is a turn that tries to establish your board dominance.
I think so, yeah. If you're trying to resolve 7-drop, it's an attack that gets through. Now you can drop 7-drop, put Mihawk back in the hand. And your opponent's just got 1 creature again.
We are considering just playing the Pacifista here as well.
Oh, that's also interesting.
Okay, and 7 on the Mihawk.
Realizing that the dropping 7-drop Dofi probably can also find a target later. No reason to pull the trigger right now. A lot of restraint on that.
Yep.
And instead, we can just resolve one of these other characters that are pretty good.
Possibly Gecko Moria here?
Always good. Gets back Law. Play the Law.
Okay. And we're going to see the Law recycled so many times this game. And we're not done with that Law yet.
It's like the same Law, I think, 3-4 times here so far. Yeah.
Well, 2 Gecko Morias at this point have come down, added the 2. So that is the third time that Law has touched the board. And your opponent played Gecko Moria to also pick up another Law, so a total of 5 being played in the game so far.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get the double digits. Double digits is the dream, right?
Well, it's very possible. There's 8 Gecko Morias between the 2 of them.
Okay, discarding the Pacifista.
Counter out with Pacifista, too.
Kuma in for 5.
So countering out with Pacifista actually super powerful if we get to a point in the game where we play Kuma. Your opponent could actually predict that you don't actually have Pacifista since you countered out with it.
Using the Law to protect the board and 9-drop Mihawk.
9-drop come down.
Gecko Moria to the bottom. All right. We still have a bit of a board, but that is a lot of power from that.
That's
Mihawk.
quite a bit of stabilization right there, and your opponent is now looking to contest a 9K Mihawk. That's going to be quite tough to do without a Mihawk of their own, which may have just been picked up, actually. That would be an incredible draw.
Don't think so. It's tough to see the hand, but it seems like 7-drop is the biggest creature. Things like Pacifista there, still got that level of beam. I think a 3-drop Dofi, all options. 3-drop Dofi can stack the top of the deck for us at least, give us a blocker for the future turns here on the Gecko Moria.
Okay, and we're going to be able to look at the top 5 here. See a Kuma, see 2 more Doflamingos. 3 more Doflamingos, rather. 2 3-drops and a 7. And a Boa Hancock.
I'm not sure this is what exactly we want. The 7-drops are good. And they'd be fine to draw.
Yeah.
And the flips would be okay at this point. But again, 9-drop Mihawk can really just help you turn the tide here, especially when your opponent is attacking with their own.
Yeah.
It's a tough decision.
Well, you saw your opponent bottom their stack of 5 and then found Mihawk very quickly. You have to consider doing the same thing.
Yeah. Also using the Mihawk attack to dig through 2 cards there from Shane previously.
But you see him counting. He's doing math. Thinking about, what can he flip out? What can he draw? Very important to do, and certainly these players are going to be very good at doing that.
Going to bottom.
So he did consider the lines and decided to put it on the bottom of the deck.
Yep, and I think that's completely fair. Definitely no problem with that.
Come across
Attack
for
the Gecko.
7.
Blind flip on.
Boa Hancock.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Okay. So, we've attacked many times for 2K over against Shane here, and every single time he's let it go. Just not willing to lose 2 cards out of his hand.
I think that's a bit fair. You definitely can't get bled for resources, and his opponent has been able to stack the deck a little bit better than him in his early turns, so he does have to concede probably something out of that.
Well, we've conceded quite a bit. I think at this point 3 characters, so we are going to see 3-drop Doflamingo come down for Shane. Look at the top 5, and we see Gecko Moria at the bottom of that stack. Gecko Moria pretty good to flip out with your leader ability. I think he did just put that one on top. Jinbei and Boa Hancock, I believe. 2 Jinbei. Is that okay? So I can't quite see the order on that one, but we do have a Gecko Moria coming down off of this attack, I believe. So we're gonna come across for 7, probably on his 4-cost Gecko Moria or the Boa Hancock, and we are gonna resolve
flipping out the Gecko Moria. Yep. A little bit bigger power against his board of 5Ks right now.
A little confusing with the naming, being 16 Gecko Morias between the two of them.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but. Notably a 4 mana of 6K Gecko Moria from Shane's side, and a 4 mana 5K is currently on the side for Mo there.
And we are going to love out of. I could not quite tell where that attack was coming, where it was going, but
I think it was on the Gecko Moria.
Okay.
I don't.
And we do see just an easy block there to protect the character from the Mihawk attack. Okay.
Now we consider a couple options. Looks like Boa Hancock in hand would be an okay option here. Yep, and we will resolve that to the board. Another good body out there.
And, just like that, Shane kind of sweeps the board in the opposite direction. Now we're looking at Perona, a 5K Gecko Moria, and a Boa Hancock. Boa Hancock, very good. Cards certainly, but, staring down a 9K is quite intimidating. You would have to spend basically all of your Dawn in order to contest it, and your opponent has not been giving you cards at all, so he's probably still stacked on 2K counters.
And again, I think we come back to the 9-dropper was really the turning point for Shane. He really bought back a lot of the board with that, and then he can start attacking for so big. His opponent can't attack back on him because he doesn't have characters of that large of Dawn. So since he hasn't been countering out of anything else, he can now counter out to protect the Mihawk itself if the big attacks were to come in on that.
Definitely. I mean, it's really hard to. I couldn't see the cards that he put back on the bottom of the deck with the 3-drop Doflamingo, but
sure.
Having the discipline and saying, hey, none of this is what I need. None of this is the 9 cost.
Yeah.
Let me just put it on the deck, and I will quickly find it, and just playing it right into the luck there. You found the Mihawk quickly.
We're coming in for 8 on the Gecko Moria, tapping because we know the top of our deck. It is a Mihawk out.
Okay, gonna be able to get that, and that's gonna give us some filtering. Perhaps we even will find 9-cost Mihawk soon enough.
You have been disciplined about protecting everything else. You could probably decide to counter out or block. Block is a fine option.
Really conserving resources in hand on Shane's side.
It's good.
And this is a big 8K attack, probably on the 6K Gecko Moria.
Yeah, recognizing that we do have to contest the rest of the board because the Mihawk is starting to run us over a little bit. If we don't contest the rest of our board, it's going to be a little problem.
And I like the 8K attack there too, because your opponent basically has given you every single 2K over, and so you're getting to be able to contest his board kind of for free here, since he's just letting those creatures go. And he lets that one go as well, true to style.
Options in hand look like, for 3 Dawn, not a lot. We could consider a Perona 5K attack coming in for life. Be an interesting option because the Perona has not done anything up to this point anyways. You can at least cash some value in there. It's an okay turn to do that. Other option would be to help to bluff like a Love Beam, maybe make your opponent attack higher, but generally they're okay if you're using that one card to counter out of something because it's lost value from not drawing a card at this point.
Well, we are going to see how Mo attacks this. So swing with Boa Hancock.
Boa Hancock coming in.
And that will draw us a card. And we'll just take the life, go to 3. Okay, so Shane is now at 3 life, and Mo is still at 4.
One with a larger board, but one with a taller board.
Yep, a little bit. Well, these Doflamingo players are very good at establishing 2 pretty good characters per turn. And unfortunately, the Mihawk still exists for Shane. So now it's Shane's turn to kind of put down 2 4-drops on the table. And I have a feeling that at the end of this turn, Shane is going to have very strong board dominance.
Okay, the Law
Starting
coming
out
down.
with the Law.
Number 6, noted in the books.
I think that's the number 5 that we picked up earlier.
Oh, it's true.
And we're going to go 7K coming across. And find
Flipping
Jinbei off the top.
Very nice.
And that's the one that we stacked there a little bit earlier. And just conceding the Boa Hancock, having already drawn a card. It's a pretty good trade there. All right, so I still think that we're definitely still going board. You know, there's no reason. You have a lot of Don. You have a lot of really good attackers. I think everything is really going to be going
Boa
straight
Hancock
to the board
again.
every turn.
Attack with the Boa Hancock.
One of the powerful things here too is that we've gotten into a rhythm of, you know, Mo needs to tap all of his characters in order to make these good attacks against Shane's board. If Shane were ever to stop those attacks, you know, well, then suddenly, you know, Shane has the ability to use all those characters and attack back on Mo's board. And once you are the person who's just cleared your opponent, it is very hard to crawl back. And nothing does that better than the 9K Mihawk here. Truly proving itself to be the pivotal moment of this game.
All right, we see the large board coming in here, now large and tall. And we get to decide from Mo's side what the options are. Still holding that 7-drop. It's probably a turn to play it because we've got to buy back some board
Well,
here.
you have a good target now with the Boa Hancock.
Yeah.
Although it is a little pricey when you're staring down the 9K. But you're still at 4 life, so you do have time. This is a good moment to, you know, you could establish your 7-drop. You could not swing with your Gecko Moria, and then you get to pass back. Your opponent's going to attack you a couple of times. You'll probably go a little bit lower on life, but then you would have the chance to attack your opponent back, and you could essentially use this moment to gain board dominance here. And he is going to follow some of that line.
Yep.
Definitely likes the 7-drop, bouncing the Boa Hancock. I think that makes a lot of sense. Going to use our Gecko Moria to swing on Boa. 5K on a 5K is probably going to net a 1K counter out.
It's a Perona,
Yep.
which is a 2K counter, but is a card that at this point of the game is dead. So it's you're trading some flexibility for a little bit of power in hand.
And we can see an 8K come across, which is just going to net a block from the Trafalgar Law, and we see another Law come down. This truly is the stumbling character.
All right. Come back across. Get to figure out how we get to now attack back on the board that only attacked with 1 creature this turn.
Well, I still think it's really, really cool that both players fully understand the power of the 1-drop blocker, especially against these like huge, overwhelming characters. You know, the 9K Mihawk. Yes, you can swing with 9K power, but I just have this little blocker, so, you know, kind of nullifying the effects.
Yep. We see Jinbei come across, considering whether to just let it go or save the Gecko Moria, I assume. And I think I agree with that. That thing is going to die to one of these attacks this turn. You can let it go to the first and decide then. Let your opponent decide if they'd like to come towards your life.
Absolutely.
If there was a little bit better of a board to attack back on, if you had more characters with higher amounts of attacks, you could consider forcing them to make that attack into your Gecko Moria. But with only 1 7-drop and your leader to attack back on, it doesn't seem the best to want to call in all of those attacks.
Okay, and Shane counting up his Don here, considering his attacks. So this is a turn that you want to put your opponent down definitely lower on resources, but you know you have to be careful because you give your opponent all those resources, and suddenly all your characters are tapped and they have full reign over the board.
Yeah.
So if this were a moment for 9-cost Mihawk to come down for Mo, that would be really powerful for sure.
Looks like we have 3 cards in Mo's hand too, to I think about 5 in Shane's hand, so...
Well, it makes sense. You know, Shane has been the entire game not countering out of things.
Yeah.
Just basically all the cards out of his hand have been lost to playing them onto the board and losing them from attacks. And we see 7K come across.
Cross at the leader.
That one's going dome.
Yeah, consider tapping a Don here. Looks like no.
We do not.
Opponent takes it. That's a Gecko Moria.
Nine
Nice.
will catch the block.
Makes sense.
And that kind of forces the attack. If he wants to go down to 2, if he wants his opponent to go down to 2, he's going to have to attack with Boa Hancock.
Yep. And this is a Gecko Moria getting back 3-drop Dofi. Akin to the Law, this is a blocker, but it helps stack the top of the deck as well. So
it's a really good one to get back. And is that
a
another? I think that's another Mihawk there.
Yeah.
And we should see
That's
that one
probably
flick to the top
good.
very quickly.
Yeah.
So we should draw that for the turn.
I think what also is interesting here is
it's another Gecko Moria under there too. So we are going to have quite a powerful turn.
Yeah,
Kuma on the bottom.
I think it's interesting that Shane decided to opt for this play, doing the Gecko Moria Dofi after he attacked for the turn. He could have done it beforehand, use the Dawn to flip whatever top card he'd like to out of this, and then still
I think that makes a lot of sense too, because we're seeing one extra Dawn here.
I think the reasoning ultimately is character limit. Just saying, hey, I don't need to for the character limit reasons here. I've already got to fill this out.
Well, I didn't see any Dawn kind of get wasted, so we do want to have one up for the Boa Hancock there as well.
That is true.
Now, interesting, if he plans to block the Boa, he will, have to have done that math correctly. We are going to want to draw our Mihawk and then play the Gecko Moria from the leader ability. But we know that if we play the Mihawk, we're not going to have mana for the leader ability.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of math that the Dofi's being asked to do there. So we're going to see if Shane was able to do that. And that's one incredible thing these Doflamingo players are asked to do, is to play a very extended amount of rounds and be perfect with your math all the time.
It's a difficult amount of math too.
It's a top level competitors are undefeated with Doflamingo, certainly.
It looks like we're lining up for probably 2 4-drops and some amount of good attacks here. Still no 9-drop from the side of Mo here. Looks like Gecko plus maybe Pacifista this turn. Alrighty. Coming back, looks like Dofi will be the buyback for the Gecko Moria, and then playing it out. A play we just saw from Shane's side. Look at the top of the deck. All right, there's one 9-drop Mihawk. A couple of Jinbeis. Jinbeis are good. Perona's not so great, but we can draw that for a counter. That's okay. I feel like this 5 is good enough to keep on top. You've been searching for a 9-drop the entire time, but I could understand.
I definitely think you finally found it, and you have to start clawing back into the game. You do have a really large Doflamingo on the table. That is going to help you clear up the 5Ks on the board. Now, unfortunately, Shane did not give you any to attack, so you are going to be blocking with Boa Hancock here. Draw a card. Or do you just consider countering out? Now, because he put it in the graveyard, his opponent may just be talking about it.
Okay.
Block.
Deciding whether we would counter out here. We've been disciplined this entire time, so we could probably afford one, but at the same time, we are at character limit. We can let this die.
Boa Hancock, a really powerful character to have on the table, though. So definitely protecting it. Your opponent would then have to value picking it off. So, you could just be baiting another attack here.
Yeah, we still have the 7-drop to attack with if we really wanted to this turn as well.
Well, you would like very much to clear that 7-drop. So having your opponent tap it to gain Boa Hancock, opens it up to your Mihawk swings.
That is definitely true, and it's an awkward game of cat and mouse, deciding, oh, can I go, can I not go?
Yes. I believe they're checking ruling on this, how Boa Hancock works. If its ability activates on block or if you're able to discard cards first, and it does seem like it did not happen the way that Shane wanted it to happen.
Okay. Back to considering options here. And it looks like the 7-drop is coming in for the attack.
Is 7-drop coming at face, or is it going to go after the Jinbei there?
I feel like it still comes after the Jinbei.
Okay,
looks
definitely
like
going
let's
face.
go for life, though.
Okay.
Oh, double counter out,
if you're losing the character race every turn, then it's very possible that you say, okay, well, it's almost time for me to start going at your face here.
Yeah.
So if you can get your opponent down to 2 or 1, it certainly looks a lot more plausible, especially you do have Mihawk off the top of the deck very soon. And if your opponent is, kind of leaning on one blocker, such as a 3-drop, then, well, you have every chance of just playing Mihawk and taking him down.
Yep. And I think we might see it on the opposite side right now, with a 9-drop coming back to put something on the bottom of Mo's deck from Shane's side.
The second Mihawk here is going to be incredibly powerful. Mo is going to be in for a battle.
Yeah, and that does cause a bit of a problem when you go to play your own 9-drop next turn. Is it almost too late? Have you been too much crushed by overwhelming forces that you got now to start worrying about defending too much?
If you play that down on the table, you have to be sure that this is the right play because you are not going to have much time. No room for error there.
Yeah.
The matchup not entirely dependent on the 9-drop. Both players have played very well so far, but definitely it's a marker.
It's a mirror breaker of sorts. Letting the Jinbei go, I think, makes sense. Puts on the bottom.
Jinbei going to put the attacker on the bottom there.
Dofi on the bottom. Gecko Moria coming in at the face. We can either establish the counter out with one of our few cards we have left. We can take the life, which is nice.
It's a little scary to go down below 3 in this matchup.
It is.
Because you're having to take the Mihawk attack for sure.
And this is also a guaranteed attack for 5 that you know about. An attack that you could probably get out of if you wanted to.
Yeah.
As opposed to something like a Mihawk attack, which would be far too costly to try and get out of.
I will say, certainly at the moment where you go down to 1 life, things get a little dicey on the following turn.
Yep.
And Mihawk coming down.
Yep, there goes the 7-drop.
Tuck that, and we still have a leader swing for 5, so we're not done yet. Okay, we actually passed, did not swing at the leader. Did not swing with the leader. Probably just a slip up there.
Or it's just recognizing that, hey, I don't want to give you more cards in hand. At the point where you have 2 Mihawks and a leader still, plus 2 good characters on the board, your opponent...
I think it would be very hard to contest your board, after you just landed the second Mihawk. So I think I really like, unless you're playing around a specific life trigger on that turn, I do think that it may have just been a missed attack.
Okay, that's fair too.
I think maybe just a little bit of nerves after the Boa Hancock happened, and then you stuck the the 9 cost.
I've definitely felt that. So
no
attacking for 6 across the table here. It does leave 9 Dawn still up for a Mihawk if that's what we decide to go for, and I assume it is because our hand is pretty low at this point. Is that 2 9-drops in hand?
Definitely, we're going to see 1 come down here.
Yeah, that's 2.
Put the Jinbei on the bottom.
Okay. One gone.
And we have 2 life still, and only 3 attackers with a blocker Doflamingo on the table. So, face up right now, Mo is definitely safe at the moment.
Yeah.
But can we get another Mihawk here?
So we're going to have to do some math from Shane's side here. What is the amount of attacks we want to do on our opponent? He's got 3 cards in hand. Each of them being a 2K would mean that we could come in for 9 for a attack that would discard all of them.
Gecko Moria grabbing another Doflamingo. Okay, so we definitely don't think that we're going to kill our opponent this turn.
And I think that's correct. I think it's a bit too tall of an order task for that. Instead, we will pressure them as much as we can.
I mean, really, you can do all the thinking you want, but at the end of the day, you just swing for 9, and your opponent is going to suffer. So
using the blocker makes sense. We are going
to block, stay at 1. That gives you a lot of buffer on the next turn.
Coming down with the Dofi we know about from the Gecko Moria. Let's look at these top 5. How good are they?
Notably, your opponent is only has 3 characters and you have 3 life. So even if they were to get rid of your blocker, you still have the ability to not take lethal damage on the following turn.
And
coming down, see Kuma on the table.
Yep, another blocker in the way.
All right, so the board's very sticky at the moment. Don't know. I don't think we're holding the Pacifista at the moment for the Kuma effect.
All right, and now we have the option again. 9-drop is the thing in hand that doesn't counter, so it feels like the thing we want to play, but that commits a lot of Dawn and does not give us a blocker, so it feels incorrect.
You need to be able to remove your opponent's Mihawks this turn. If not, it suddenly becomes very difficult to stay alive when Shane takes his turn. So you are certainly weighing how much does it take to get through a Mihawk this turn. And unfortunately, the answer to that is probably going to require more than 1 Dawn.
Assuredly. I don't think you can go for such a low number on one of these things. You're staring down what is essentially a lethal amount of attacks.
Yes.
You have to do something to get around it.
Your opponent has played conservatively the whole game, basically not expending resources to protect many of their characters when it was a clean 2K over. So that might actually kind of incentivize Mo to swing 11K at the Mihawk, which would only require 2 Dawn on the Mihawk. See if you get through the first one, then let's think about the second one.
Thinking about 7K attack here with the Doflamingo leader, that is. Assumedly to hopefully flip out something, but I don't know what you could flip out to really help all that at this point. Your blockers would come in tapped, so those aren't going to save you. Instead, just kind of calculating what's the right number. What's the number of cards in hand there for Shane? I'm trying to see. Is it 3? Is he holding up 3 there?
I believe he's holding 3 cards right now.
Yeah. That is a difficult number.
Well, sitting behind the 2 Mihawks and at 3 life, it is a very difficult number.
Yeah.
And Mo here only having cards in hand because he did just take 2 damage.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yes. So as soon as you start dealing damage back to Shane here, his hand suddenly gets very large.
Yeah. Okay. Sizing up what looks like 6 Dawn in hand. Could be an 11K attack on a Mihawk. Hoping that your opponent just doesn't have enough counter powder to get out of it.
Well, I think you need to start by putting 2 Dawn on your Mihawk and swinging on the 9-cost Mihawk.
Yeah. That would at least require the least amount of Dawn to equip.
Minimum 2 Dawn. You have to break this. But, you still have, the 3-drop Doflamingo over there, as well as the Kuma. So it's very possible that you swing high enough to break through the Mihawk, only for them to block with Kuma and suddenly put a Pacifista into play, and their board has gotten even stronger.
Definitely. And we do see the attack for 7K come across, assumedly on the Gecko Moria. Don't exactly know, but did flip out a Jinbei.
Okay, it's going to help him kind of establish his board here.
Yes.
Definitely important. And,
And I agree from Shane's side. If you are going to be trying to go to kill your opponent this turn, discarding cards to protect your creatures on board is probably one of the most important things.
Absolutely. If it wasn't time earlier, it's certainly time now.
You still have 2 blockers on board, so you're still not worried about giant attacks in the Mihawks. You can always block out of those. And it is time to use our board presence to our advantage. Still considering attacks here, it looks like.
Probably the think times increase when the boards get this tight.
Yeah. You could do a 5K attack with the Perona on the Gecko Moria. Finally cash in that Perona value. I don't know that exactly helps. If your opponent still has a counter in hand, it feels pretty bad if they were to counter out from that attack.
Yeah, and again, your every attack that you make is also risking a block with a Kuma and making the board even bigger. So it's so bleak at the moment. And we're just going to go 9K even swing, block with Kuma, and we did have the Pacifista. Oh, no. Last card in hand was it, and I do believe that's going to be the game.
Looks like 5K attack on the Gecko Moria here.
And trade in the card that does not attack for a card that can attack, and it makes a lot of sense to me. So we have 1 blocker here, putting up a last bit of a fight, and we do draw 1 card off the top. We also have full knowledge of the top of our deck, so we could swing 7 with the Doflamingo. We could see him pay a Dawn and get something like a Martial Teach to put the Kuma back in hands. But instead, we're going to see 7K come across. And it's just go time. This has to be going face.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's anything else. We're down to 1 life, and
we are going to take that.
You have to count out of everything from this point.
And it is a lot.
Mihawk needs a blocker.
Mihawks for sure.
Yeah, Mihawk on the blocker, and the other Mihawk can come in for a large number at you, and you can't do anything about it, unfortunately. Looks like 5 cards in hand from the opponent, from Mo there.
If every card were a 2K, then your opponent would have 15K power in hand once. So we only need to deal 1 damage here, and we have several attackers.
Yep.
A lot of math to be done. You certainly could lose a lot of advantage if you go all face here and don't kill your opponent, but this board state is so stacked for Shane at the moment that I don't even know that he would lose the game if that happened.
Yeah. I think coming across for 9 sounds pretty good. You commit none of your Dawns, so you're not forced into anything on a later point, and you still ask to commit a number of at least 3 cards from hand.
Yeah, I mean, what's important about that play is that you don't even lose you still have your leader swing, right?
Yeah.
And we do kind of throw the Pacifista into play just to have it. And that is the game.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. That is really the power of Mihawk in the mirror match, especially when you get the second one down. Oh, my goodness.
Second one down before your opponent got even 1 down. Is definitely a point of that game.
Certainly, we saw some, Mo starting with Perona. having a very aggressive early game.
Yes.
And some blind faith by attacking blindly with the from Shane's side, but
I think you have to do it with Doflamingo at points.
I think you have to, and then a lot of discipline when you look at the top 5 cards with 3-cost Doflamingo and putting it on the bottom of the deck because you absolutely know the power of Mihawk in this matchup. So.
That's right.
So absolutely.
Yeah, that was a great match. A lot of fun to watch.
Two undefeated Doflamingo players, make one after this round, but excited to see a few more rounds left in the tournament. Let's see how they do at the end of Swiss.
That's right. All right, everyone. If you're still around, we appreciate subscriptions down below, and we'll be doing the rest of the day 4 more rounds here, live in these video forms, coming at you in a little bit. See you then.